Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. Today we're taking a deep dive into a story that's recently touched many hearts, the passing of a true television icon, Looney Anderson. She left us just days before her 80th birthday, and, well, the outpouring of tributes has been pretty immense.
It really has. Loni Anderson passed away at 79. This was August 3rd, 2025, in a Los Angeles hospital surrounded by her family.
Yeah.
And the family statement confirmed a prolonged illness. They're keeping the specifics private, understandably.
Right.
But what's really striking about this sad news is how it's brought renewed attention to something she was really passionate about for decades.
Right. COPD awareness.
Exactly. COPD awareness.
So our mission today, it's kind of twofold, really. We want to celebrate Loni Anderson's remarkable legacy because she was truly trailblazing. And then we need to take that deep dive into chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. What it actually is, the causes, symptoms, and why understanding it is, frankly, vital for everyone.
It's so important. And, despite being a major cause of death, like the third leading cause from disease in the U.S.
Third. Wow.
Yeah. COPD often gets surprisingly little airtime. It remains under-discussed. So having someone like Loni Anderson advocating for it for so long, that's incredibly impactful.
Absolutely. Let's unpack this. So for many people, when you say Loni Anderson,
It's Jennifer Marlowe, right?
immediately, Jennifer Marlowe on WKRP in Cincinnati. That show ran from 78 to 82.
And she just became such a household name through that character.
Yeah, but what's really fascinating about Jennifer Marlowe, she wasn't just, the glamorous receptionist.
Not at all.
She was consistently described as glamorous and clever, a trailblazing figure. People talked about her intellect, her self-possession, her charm.
She really was the linchpin of that whole quirky radio team in Cincinnati, wasn't she?
Totally. And that role, it wasn't just fun TV. It had real impact. She got, 2 Emmy nominations, 3 Golden Globe nominations?
That's right. Huge recognition.
And I love this. She apparently observed once that Jennifer would probably be a CEO today.
That really says something, doesn't it? About the character's sort of empowered essence.
Totally ahead of her time.
It's amazing how a role from the late 70s could feel so relevant, even now. And of course, before WKRP, she wasn't unknown. She did guest spots in the mid-70s.
Right, like SWAT, Policewoman, those sorts of shows.
Yeah, she was working steadily. And her career kept going strong even after WKRP finished its initial run.
And her personal life, well, that was often front and center, too. Many people will remember the high-profile marriage to Burt Reynolds.
Oh, absolutely, in 1988.
And then the divorce in 94. And she wrote about it all in her memoir, My Life in High Heels, in 95.
That was quite the public chronicle.
It really was. But even through all that, she kept working in TV, roles on Nurses, Sabrina, the Teenage Witch.
So notorious.
Yeah. And even quite recently, that Lifetime Christmas movie in 2023, Ladies of the 80s.
Right, A Diva's Christmas. So she had this really consistent public career. But alongside that, there was this deeply personal struggle going on, which, as we now understand, really shaped her advocacy work.
Yeah, her publicist, Cheryl J. Kagan, confirmed she battled a prolonged illness.
And the news reports, they really highlight Anderson's decades-long advocacy for COPD awareness.
Oh.
Which brings us right back to that question. Why? What drove her passion for this specific cause?
And that's the crucial link, isn't it? And it's actually quite moving when you learn about it. Her advocacy, it came directly from watching both her parents suffer.
Both of them.
Both her parents. They had chronic bronchitis and emphysema. So she became a spokesperson for COPD education groups way back in the late 1990s.
Wow, that early.
Yeah. And she drew directly on that really deep personal experience as a caregiver. This wasn't just, some celebrity cause she picked up. It was truly part of her life story.
Absolutely. That makes her advocacy so much more powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into COPD itself then. What exactly is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease?
Right. Break it down for us.
Well, basically, it's a group of lung diseases. They're progressive, meaning they get worse over time. And the main issue is they block airflow and cause breathing problems.
And where does it usually come from?
It often starts from long-term exposure to things that irritate the lungs. Think smoke, fumes, dust, chemicals, and, well, cigarette smoke is definitely the most common cause.
So you said it's a group of diseases. It's not just one thing.
Exactly. It's like an umbrella term. And usually, people with COPD have a combination of 2 main conditions under that umbrella.
Okay.
First, there's emphysema. That's where the tiny air sacs in your lungs, the alveoli, get damaged. They lose their stretchiness, basically, and air gets trapped inside.
Okay, trapped air. Got it. And the second one?
The second one is chronic bronchitis. This involves inflammation of the bronchial tubes, the airways. That inflammation leads to increased mucus production, and the airways get narrower.
So thicker mucus, narrower pipes, makes breathing harder.
Precisely. And like I said, most people diagnosed with COPD actually have a mix of both emphysema and chronic bronchitis. It makes it a pretty multifaceted challenge
Yeah,
for them.
it's really easy just to think smoking, isn't it? And the stats back that up to 75% of COPD patients have a history of smoking, or even secondhand smoke exposure.
That's a huge percentage.
But what else? What are some of the other risk factors people might not immediately connect to COPD? Are there sort of hidden risks?
That's a really important question because, yes, absolutely. While tobacco smoke is the #1 cause, there are other significant factors. Think about long-term exposure to air pollution. That's a big one. Or occupational exposures, breathing in dusts, chemicals, fumes on the job over many years.
Okay, so your job could literally put you at risk.
It could, depending on the industry and the protections used.
Huh.
Then there's also a genetic condition. It's called alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, AT deficiency for short.
Genetic link.
It's rarer, but it makes people much more susceptible to lung damage, especially if they also smoke or are exposed to irritants.
Mm.
Age is another factor. Most cases tend to show up after age 40.
Okay.
And having a history of childhood respiratory infections can also increase your risk later in life.
That's interesting, like bad chest infections when you were a kid.
Exactly. And another interesting link is asthma. People with a history of asthma, particularly childhood asthma, seem to be at a higher risk for developing COPD down the line.
Wow. So it's definitely more complex than just smoking. That's a lot more to consider.
It really is.
Okay, so given that it often develops slowly, as you said, what are the common symptoms people should be watching out for? What are those maybe subtle signs that something isn't quite right, that maybe people are just brushing off?
That's critical because catching it early makes such a difference. Like you said, the symptoms often creep up on you. They develop slowly. And unfortunately, they tend to get worse over time, especially if that exposure to lung irritants continues.
So what should you look out for?
Key things are shortness of breath, especially when you're doing physical activity, a chronic cough. This is often a cough that produces mucus, sometimes called a smoker's cough, but it shouldn't be ignored.
Right. Don't just write it off.
Definitely not. Also, wheezing, that sort of whistling sound when you breathe, getting frequent respiratory infections like colds or the flu more often than usual, and just persistent fatigue, feeling tired all the time.
And it's easy to see how someone might attribute those things to other stuff, right? Like just getting older or being a bit unfit or that smoker's cough.
Exactly. That's a huge barrier to diagnosis. People delay seeking help because they normalize the symptoms.
So what does this mean for someone who is experiencing these symptoms, maybe even subtly? What's the biggest hurdle to getting diagnosed early with something like COPD?
Well, as we just touched on, underestimating those early signs is probably the biggest barrier. If you are experiencing any of those symptoms, the cough, the shortness of breath, the wheezing, the fatigue, even if they seem mild, please see a healthcare provider.
Get it checked out.
Absolutely. Diagnosis usually involves a few things: a physical exam, talking through your medical history, your exposure history, and crucially, lung function tests. The main one is called spirometry.
Spirometry.
Yeah, it's a simple breathing test. It measures how much air you can breathe in and out and how quickly you can exhale. It's key for diagnosing COPD.
Okay. And once diagnosed, is there a cure?
Now, that's the tough part. Currently, there is no cure for COPD.
Yeah.
And this is a really important, but treatments can absolutely help manage the symptoms. They can improve quality of life and, importantly, slow down the progression of the disease.
Okay, so management is key. What does that involve?
It involves several things: medications, like inhalers to help open the airways, oxygen therapy for people whose blood oxygen levels are low, pulmonary rehabilitation, that's a program with exercise training, education, and support.
Like physio for your lungs.
Kind of, yeah. It helps improve breathing and function, and of course, crucial lifestyle changes. Top of the list, quitting smoking. That's the single most important step. In some very severe cases, surgery might even be an option, but the real key is getting that diagnosis and starting management early.
It really puts Looney Anderson's work into perspective, doesn't it? Her passing, while obviously very sad for her family, friends, and fans, it really does act as this powerful reminder, a reminder about the impact of conditions like COPD and just how vital awareness is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And knowing that her own personal experience watching her parents go through it was the fuel for decades of her advocacy.
Yeah, turning that private battle into a public call for understanding, it's quite something.
It really is. And maybe that's the main takeaway for you listening right now. Just reflecting on how knowing about conditions like COPD, understanding their often subtle start, the wide range of risk factors beyond just smoking.
Yeah.
Well, that knowledge can empower you, can't it, to protect your own health, maybe the health of people around you.
That's a really good point.
What small step could you maybe take to be a bit more informed or more proactive about respiratory health? Not just for yourself, but maybe for someone you care about who keeps having that nagging cough or gets breathless easily.
Yeah. It's sobering, isn't it, to think how many people might be ignoring those exact symptoms right now.
Just writing them off. Oh, it's just a cold. I'm just getting older.
It could be something that needs attention. Definitely food for thought.